New card. What do you think?
Get over here!
Hadouken! That man is playing Galaga.
I understood that reference.
You shall not pass! So say we all. So say we all.
Ride with me?
It's adamantium tasting time, boys.
Well, make it so, number one.
All wings reporting.
And welcome to your weekly interval. This is the Best Damn Nerd Show. Microphone Alchemist Bimbo Jimbo alongside Imperial Commissar Jeff Budd.
Hey boys, hoping you're all just living your best life post-spooky season.
Yeah, absolutely. Chief Science Officer of Star Labs, Mark Truex.
Taking it shaken, not stirred.
All right, we will get to that later on in the episode, Mark. Thank you very much.
I was a bit shaken by that story.
Actually, you know what? We'll do this. Professor Chris Davis, no longer
Jeff.
the lone gunman. The Axeman, though.
No longer friends with Jeff after his intro.
But at least now you know I listen to the show when I'm not on it.
You owe Jeff a punch in the face. And making his return from exile or suspension, the muzzled Hall of Fame cyber athlete, Jonathan Craig.
I just want to say to the Nerdosphere, I've thought about what I said on the Mandalorian episode. I've had 4 long weeks that I've been barred from attending the show to think about my actions.
Feels longer.
I take back, I retract everything that I said to challenge James' Star Wars fandom, mostly because we're going to get into Mandalorian Season 2 today, and so I want to make sure I can revisit them later in this episode.
Well, that was almost the statement that was approved by HR. So, you know, I'll give you at least a C+ or a B- for effort there, John. And welcome back to the show. I hope you'll continue to be on your best behavior.
Yeah, forgive me
it's
if
good to see you.
Forgive me if it takes me a little bit to respond. Sometimes I have to scroll a little bit to find the answers that you've written up for me to give.
Yeah. Try and stick to the script there, Johnny. No, welcome back to the Best Damn Nerd Show, everybody. We are getting back into more of our normal flow of things after October, but what a great run of Halloween shows that we had throughout the month of October. It was a lot of fun. And before we move fully, and turn fully the page on all of that, I just wanted to get, Jeff and John, your reaction. We had a nice little surprise on last week's episode. Adam Zika making a surprise return. What'd you think, Jeffy?
I knew he was on because when I don't record the show, if I get a chance, I like to log into Discord and watch you little boys in the podcast. And I just know that. I was like, oh, the little boys are all talking right now. And then I saw the extra person. And I was like, oh, that's Adam. I said, oh, Adam made the show.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. I had assumed the worst because it like his account joined the Discord at the same time that you were like rigging an election for the final Halloween bracket. So
well, that wasn't the election I was rigging, but yes,
there were suddenly like several new accounts joining Discord, and I was like, we need to validate these.
I would like to point out there was no voting irregularities in the bracket. Freddie didn't go.
No observers were allowed to watch either. So.
Freddie didn't go to bed with a massive lead and wake up to a Michael Myers decisive victory. There was nothing like that.
Freddie would have been like, "This is my worst nightmare." So that's what that feels like.
Oh man, but no, it was a great treat to bring Adam Zika back onto the show last week, and I did love seeing the reaction in Discord, and planning it out with Adam was great fun. Davis and Mark, your guys' reaction was priceless too. I really appreciated the fact that you didn't know if it was live or recorded.
It's probably good that they couldn't see video because people might question how I actually feel about Zika on how I look. I do love you, Adam. I swear to God. I could not tell what was going on.
It was a good last scare, but I do feel like that sort of in the in the trying to usher Adam in there, shortchanged Freddie a little bit for being our inaugural champion. So I want to once again congratulate Freddy Krueger for winning our first bracket. And, I, of course, backed Michael Myers, but to lose to Freddy, there's no shame in that. So want to make sure that all of our Michael Myers heads were gracious in defeat and congratulating Freddy Krueger. Jeff, what did you think about how it all shook out?
Overall, I was pleased. I cast my vote for Freddy Krueger. I heard you complain about it on the podcast. I think he is the one who should have won. Freddy's like the guy. Like when I grew up as a kid, like he's the slasher person.
He's the guy? He's the slasher?
He's the guy. He's the guy. He's the guy. It's Freddy, and then it's like kind of Jason after that. Like, I mean, if we're talking about like person who paved the way, then yes, certainly it's Michael Myers, and then also we had Norman Bates and stuff on the in the brackets, and that's all well and good, but I mean the reason that we're putting it to a vote is we're not just picking the people that came first, we're picking the people that have made the biggest mark, and I think that definitely is Freddy. And I mean, the only reason I don't think it would ever work as far as trying to bring him back again, as opposed to like that just one failed reboot, is because it's Robert Englund. Like that's Freddy Krueger. Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Leatherface, all those guys, multiple actors have played the parts, multiple stuntmen, and like it honestly doesn't really matter that much because it's almost like just the icon. But with Freddy Krueger, it really is linked to the actor, kind of like with Chucky. I mean, it was fun and exciting that Mark Hamill did the voice for the remake, but
it was very different.
Yeah, I mean that's not the real Chucky.
Yeah. No, and Freddy and Chucky, they both have that charisma factor that really makes them very memorable. So I actually think it played out, other than obviously I want Michael Myers to win. I expected Freddy to win, but that was the finals that I actually really wanted going into it anyway. So I thought it was fitting. It was the movie that I wanted, and I figured Freddy would win. But it was a good time. But how did you guys end up spending your Halloween proper? How did that all shake out? John, did you get up to anything?
We took the kid up to a farm to pick up Halloweens or
pagan rituals
and see animals. Yeah, it's pretty boring. I mean, I'm not like a scary movie.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. Or like scary anything type of person. So while I did indulge in the best Halloween candy there is, which is candy corn, I didn't.
Disgusting.
I didn't like watch a bunch of movies or anything like that because it's too scary.
I picked up a lot of candy, but I made sure that in my pickup I got a bag of 100 grand bars as well. Treated myself to those. They're all gone now.
Whole bag of them. How much did that cost?
God, an arm and a leg.
That's a great year-round candy.
But it's never better than when you get it in your Halloween bag,
I mean, yeah, you can have year-round candies in proximity to Halloween, totally. It's appropriate. It's just not a Halloween candy, but yeah.
It's a good thing they have Halloween sizes of them.
Well,
therefore making them Halloween candy.
Halloween bag size.
They sell those. They literally sell those bags all around the year, though.
Mark, what'd you get up to? How'd your costumes go?
Costumes went good. I had to shave to be Hal Jordan in high school, and I might keep it. And typically don't, but I was looking around at some other costumes where people weren't shaving off, and I was just like, doesn't look right. Let's see what they say they are. Doesn't look like it. And so with that internal thought, I knew I had to shave if I was going to be Hal Jordan in high school. From DC Superhero Girls, check it out. It's on Netflix. It makes me giggle. But more important, my daughter loves it. And she was Wonder Woman, so we went as friends.
Yeah, Diana Prince.
You can just tell her you're the evil version. That works, right?
No. Although that is true, like the only beards in that show that I'm trying to think of is like Zod.
Jeff, how about you? Did you get up to anything? You watch scary movies? What'd you do?
We ended up watching Witches, not the remake, but the original one with Angelica Houston. Yeah, I love that movie.
That's my first time seeing it.
Oh, it was my wife's first time seeing it. She had never seen it before. I have not seen it since I was like a kid, so it was a lot of fun getting to go and see that again. I kind of want to watch the remake now, just because I forgot how much I love the story.
Which convention? Who knew?
And then other than that, we left a bowl of candy out because our neighborhood, they had trick-or-treaters. It was like they called it a Halloween parade or something. So it was like no contact trick-or-treating. And they ate most of the candy. We had some Reese's peanut butter cups, which I love, but it's a candy I can enjoy at any time of the year. And also some fun-sized Twizzlers, which are fun, but also not necessarily.
I'm sensing blowback from Jeff and John over our Fantastic Four Halloween
John
candy
and I
bits.
are in one mind when it comes to this in terms of Halloween.
We can all agree though that those mini Reese's cups would be better if they just took the paper off of the cups. Like I don't need to unwrap twice.
I don't mind the paper.
It was like the flat ones.
It keeps structure to it.
You know which ones I'm talking about?
I like
you mean
those.
like a real
I
Reese's
like the
cup?
paper on those. I like the paper.
full
Yeah,
size
I feel like you
Reese's
need the paper on those, but I know what you're talking about with the little
mini
ones. Yeah, with
yeah.
it's
just
that's too
annoying.
much.
Then your hands get all chocolatey.
Yeah.
You guys did agree with me on just the home baked goods, correct?
Dude, Davis, like,
No.
you know, I thought James was an old man. Like, when did you go trick or treating in the 1910s? That's so incredibly dangerous.
Everyone gets an
unless
apple.
you know everybody in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
We're from a small town. It's
I
fine.
guess. I mean, dear Lord, man.
What is this no contact trick or treating either? Isn't trick or treating always no contact? Who's making contact with the kids on a regular Halloween?
Well, I think it's just handing out
Yeah, I'm not actually handing out the candy. They're not coming to my door.
Yeah, we left a bowl
dumb.
out in front of our door with a hand pump Sandy station. And
Oh, that's
there was
good
still
idea.
candy left at the end of the night, so I know no one went without. Feel good.
Man,
There's
I was not a good boy when it came to those bowls. I was definitely a yoinker. I would have to go back home to empty the bag out before heading back out.
That's great. That's great. Good one.
I mean, you got to be an idiot. You just leave a whole bowl out there for
It's
me.
Halloween, trick or treat.
Good to know you've grown so much.
They never saw me coming. Yeah.
Did anybody watch like any more? You guys watch Witches? Davis, you watch any scary movies?
No, we went to our
What'd you do?
COVID party, so we.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So we
That's
actually.
why this
went
is a
out and did something.
contactless podcast. I forgot about that. How are
Is
you
that like
feeling?
one of those parties where you're trying to contract COVID to get immunity?
Or is it like Mask of the Red Death, where
Yeah, it's
you're all going to be punished for?
Herd immunity party.
Yeah.
One person had it, and you just had to see how it kind of shaked up in
And he
2 weeks.
kissed everyone on the mouth.
Yikes, dude.
But yeah, no,
for apples.
we dressed up. We did our makeup. I was Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah, you look great.
Yeah, your
Thank you.
Beetlejuice was amazing.
I
I don't think I saw the picture of Courtney.
She was behind me. She didn't like her dress that much, so she was hiding in pictures. But I thought it was great.
I like that you still have the horror theme in your background of your webcam image right now too, though.
Yeah, you know, we have the death curtain,
The shower from Psycho.
Yeah, the shower.
the ficus that's dying. So there's
It's the
a lot
garage from Scream with Rose
What a
McGowan's
death.
body still hanging from it, which I watched Scream on Halloween actually, along with several other horror films. It was great. Watched Legend of Sleepy Hollow, one of my favorite Disney cartoons. Cabin in the Woods, which I hadn't seen before actually.
Remake?
What?
Oh no, I guess there's only been one. Sorry, I was thinking Cabin Fever recently.
Yeah, no, not Cabin Fever. I watched Cabin in the Woods, which is great. I am remiss that I had not watched it yet. And I watched BD&S favorite Oculus as well, which is still holds up. Love that movie. Feed her some plates.
I did watch the Johnny Depp Sleepy Hollow that day while I was getting ready.
I love that movie.
Yeah, what? I
Casper
didn't remember
Van
fondly
Dien.
of it, but I liked it. Yeah, Casper Van Dien, friend of the show.
That's a damn right friend of the show. All right. Well, before we move on with the rest of the show's festivities, we're going to be kind of all over the place. But I did get to visit Jeff and Mark down in Southern California. And Jeff, you and I got into some board games when I was so graciously being put up in your home. And I want to get into some of those games because I think the Nerdosphere really appreciates your board game reviews and just weave us a tale of what we played.
I guess like the main game that I specifically purchased just for you to come and play was Star Wars Rebellion from Fantasy Flight Games. It's basically the original Star Wars trilogy all in one board game. It's just one player is the Empire, one player is the Rebellion, and the two of you are just battling, not for supremacy, I suppose. The rebellion's just trying to survive long enough to build up enough political clout to overrun the Empire, and the Empire's just trying to snuff out the rebellion. That is a lot of fun. It's a beautifully balanced game, even though the two groups are not balanced at all. I really enjoyed the whole style of it. I like the miniatures. I had never played it before. I had a great time, and it was much simpler than I thought it would be, because it looks really complicated out of the box.
I was very worried that when we were getting ready to play it, that it was just going to be, it was the Star Wars card game all over again to me. I was like, this is like, it looks amazing and I enjoy looking at all of it, but this is just too much for my mind to grasp right now. But playing the simplified rules, it was very easy. Some similarities to Risk, but I think it did a really good job of simulating what it would be like to be the rebellion. in that, speaking as the person that played as the rebellion, I was terrified every turn because they are just so outgunned by the Empire, and you're trying to find my base. And what I didn't realize going in is, like, even if you find it, which you did pretty late in the game, you still have a chance to escape, which I didn't have as firm of a grasp of that as when we first started playing it, but it does a really good job of simulating, I think, what it's like to be in each side's position. Of being the rebellion or being the Empire. Like, Jeff, I think first or second turn, you blew up a planet with the Death Star almost immediately. And that was brutal.
Death Star, which I think is awesome. I didn't have to build it or anything. And so, James did something shitty with Chewbacca. So the next turn, I blew up Kashyyyk.
No more Wookiees.
Well, you gotta set an example. Also, they're dogs. They're dogs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a dog planet.
I mean, when a dog goes bad, like, you
bites the hand that feeds you. Yeah. Many Wookiees died to bring us that information.
And then I got to blow up 2 more planets before the Death Star was. Actually, I don't even think I could have blown up any more planets after.
Were you just blowing up like the next planet that you arrived at, or was it like?
Did you gain anything from this?
No.
Yeah, you do, because
mass death.
You get you basically intimidate other planets in that system to sort of be loyal. So it gets me like extra resources. It's a planet that James can't hide on anymore. That was like how I was trying to find his rebel bases. I'm just gonna blow up every fucking planet in the galaxy.
Honestly, if there's one rebel on that planet, I feel like it's justified.
Oh, there always was. Yeah. I had a great time doing it. Also, it was just so much fun because it seems so intimidating and cool. And I was
it was terrifying.
You get like different like heroes or leaders in your group, and so I always tried to have Grand Moff Tarkin be the one who was on the Death Star giving the order. I think there was one time where it wasn't him, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. My favorite part, other than blowing up the planets, was I captured and turned one of James's heroes to the dark side, and it was none other than Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, it was brutal.
And James had no idea this was going to happen because I captured Luke Skywalker the same turn.
I had no idea it was possible.
So he was like, "Oh shit!" He could only you go back and forth. So he decided to.
In James's mind, he's like, "I'm going to save Luke, and this is going to be the best."
Oh, I did save Leia, which was great.
Oh, yeah, he did save other people.
Yeah, but if you had to choose.
Yeah.
No, but like in terms of like being like the movies.
He decided to relocate his rebel base, which, I mean, it was a good idea. But then since he did that, I had both Vader and the Emperor basically just torture Luke until he became part of the dark side.
They gave him a dark side lap dance.
And then Luke permanently switched to my side, and I could use him as a character after that, which was so great. And you lost reputation because it was Luke Skywalker. The only thing was he was not a Jedi Knight yet. That would have been even better.
Yeah, because like Jedi Luke is a very powerful card, just having looked at it, or leader rather. That I like that the irony was that so when you're blowing up planets, it definitely helps the Empire, but I got a card late in game that basically advanced me down the victory track based on the number of planets that have been destroyed. And since Jeff destroyed the max number, I was like, okay, well, this helped me a lot, actually. And we ended the game. I blew up the Death Star, and that's what put me over the edge to get me enough victory points, essentially, to quote win. I mean, it doesn't really feel like winning with the Rebel Alliance. It's just sort of like keep away. But it's just such a great game.
Wedge Antilles, hero of the rebellion.
Yes,
he was the one who
he was always left.
He blew up the Death Star.
Yeah, should have been me. But yeah, God, I mean, just an awesome game. That was a really cool experience, and it feels like every time I visit, you have something new, some new board game wrinkle to show me. And that Star Wars Rebellion was definitely one. The other one was, and I know you talked about this both in the Discord and I think on the podcast before, but Call to Adventure is an excellent game. We got to play that too, which was a lot of fun. If you want to remind people what Call to Adventure is like, it's kind of a storytelling game where through cards, pretty much. And
it's like the hero's journey
builds itself. Yeah.
And since James and I were playing it together, there's a couple of different formats you can play. We could either have been racing to see who becomes the ultimate hero first, but we decided to join forces, and we were going up against, who was our antagonist in that one?
The Warlock.
The adversary. It was the Warlock. Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and we both made it right to the end. Was I trying to think how it ended up? I took pictures of the board, but I don't know. I had a really good time getting to play with somebody else. I thought that was a lot of fun. I love the artwork on the different cards. I think it's just a beautiful looking game, and also it's like super simple too, and easy cleanup because it's just cards and the rune dice, which are kind of fun.
Yeah, very exciting. Yeah, and very unique. You know, you don't see a lot of that. But yeah, and we also got to play last Friday, which is
well, that was just the theme. It was October.
Yeah, that was exactly. That was definitely on brand. Battle Ball, awesome stuff. It was just
and I killed all those campers last Friday. I killed them just like one right after the other. It was
you
terrific.
did, but I think that was the most fun I had playing it though, because basically the character that I wanted to be the predestined got to be. Even though I didn't catch you at the end.
Hear that, Mark? You didn't enjoy playing with us the first time.
I know. Why play with all my friends? Just play with Jeff.
It just played out better. I think it's probably better suited for a two-person game. If you want to win.
I like the idea of playing it with a bunch of people. I think it's best that way.
James like it that way.
A buddy doll.
Because Mark started doing some stuff that James didn't like the first time we played. He was like, "What are you doing? You're gonna get him killed."
Well, that's sort of the rub with last Friday. I feel like last Friday it's very difficult for the campers to win in general. So you need one mind, I guess, if you're the campers, if you really want to win. But whatever. In going back and rewatching a lot of the Friday the 13th movies, they don't win anyway. So what does it matter? But yeah, that was a lot of fun. What else you guys been up to, Mark? You doing anything besides shaving your face there? Any nerdy wares that you've picked up? No.
Not, man. I'm actually reading through Age of Apocalypse right now.
That's cool.
Jeff lent a couple of big old thick tomes in that regard, so I'm working my way through the first volume, and it's pretty wild.
Yeah, the full story he's going to be able to read, so that's exciting.
Marvel, you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty reminiscent of every other giant event that happens, but
it was very ambitious at the time, because 90s X-Men was very hot selling.
Yeah.
And then he put the entire story on all the titles on hold just to do that. I mean, that was the X-Men comic that month. That was the X Factor comic.
Because that's what I'm reading right now, man. Is because the 4 issues that was Legion and the ultimate death of Professor X, spoiler, to what kicks off Age of Apocalypse. But now it's like every subsequent issue within the collection is the one shot of, now here's what this team's doing, and here's what Generation X is doing, and here's what Excalibur's doing. And it's a little too much jumping. I'm just like, I want the story. I don't care about this guy. Show me the rest of the story. It's all those tie-ins of all these crossover events where it's just get me to the main core line.
She's still a
but
DC
it's good.
guy.
It is good.
I've never heard
the journey, not the destination.
I've never heard Mark be so critical of a DC crossover event. Not once.
No, whether it's Marvel or DC, all the crossover events are like that.
I can't wait to read about what Batwoman was doing during the Court of Owls. Is what Mark
I completely agree with you. That's just how these giant crossovers are. So it's just cool. That was awesome for 4 issues. The main thing going on now is oh yeah, let's see what these guys were doing. Cool. All right. What about these guys? All right. But it is tying itself
Keeps you
in pretty
buying.
good, though. Yeah, because Magneto keeps showing up between them all, and Bishop showing up between most of them so far. So it's getting there. I'm really excited to see where it goes.
John, how have you spent your suspension?
I was playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 Early Access, which is like a Forgotten Realms CRPG game for PC. And I was having a lot of fun, although I don't know if it's just not optimized or like my PC is just old enough that it really can't handle it, because like I would play for like a half hour and my graphics card would overheat and I would start to smell smoke, and then the game would crash and I'd have to turn my computer off for like an hour.
Jesus.
So I made it like through the first chapter. I don't know how far the early access goes. I don't think it's the full game, but I made it to the point where my Drow Ranger is going to have to adventure through the Underdark on the way to Baldur's Gate. So I'm looking forward to jumping back in, but hopefully, they fix it so I don't burn the apartment down. And then
yeah, if you can.
Yeah, and then since I couldn't really devote as much time to that as I wanted, the World of Warcraft Shadowlands pre-patch has come out, and it's changed a lot of things about the game, including the leveling system. So I've just been leveling up a bunch of alts, getting ready for the new expansion that's coming out in a couple weeks.
And we as a show will be getting ready for that as well. We're going to be doing a World of Warcraft episode very, very soon. So looking forward
Davis,
to Davis, why aren't you on board?
Davis, you should be on it just to tell horror stories of Tim and I progression rating back in college.
I don't think anything's really changed since then.
Oh, it has. That was excessive.
All right, well, we're going to take a break. On the other side, we're going to get into the Mandalorian Season 2. We're going to talk about The Boys, other news and notes that have been going on underneath our noses while we've been sort of into the horror realm of things. So we're going to get back on track here on the Best Damn Nerd Show on the other side.
Hey everyone, Chris Seglia here, CEO of the Tenno Media Network. I would like to say thank you for checking out one of our podcasts, but we need your help. You can support Tenno in a multitude of ways. By going to our website and checking out our latest podcasts, by buying some sweet merch, joining our Discord, or getting early and exclusive access to all content via our Patreon. Your support means the world to us, and you can find everything on our website, www.ten-o.gg. That's ten-o.gg. Thank you again, and now, back to the show.
Hey nerd, Lore Master Tim here, and I've come with a rather indecent proposal. We want you to join in the conversation. If you aren't already a member of our Discord, what are you even doing? You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TheBDNS. And if you're crazy, odds are we'll talk about it on the show, so get kooky, and above all, let's get nerdy.
It's me, Iron Nerd Min-Maxer, Hanzo Gonzo, inviting you into the Tenno Media Arena to see whose nerdiness will reign we're gonna get sued. Will triumph a lotly. Come check out all the battles on the Tenno Media Network Patreon, or you can just skip to the parts where Steve physically breaks something for no reason. See you there.
Welcome back to the Best Damn Nerd Show. Bimbo Jimbo in with Jeff Budd, Mark Truex, Chris Davis, and Jonathan Craig. And we're going to get into sort of a new segment here as we wanted to play catch up on some of the things that have been going on while we were doing our October episode. So we're going to unveil Nerdgasm or Nogasm, which is sort of like a buy or sell type segment. So I'm going to throw some stuff out at my illustrious panel here, and they're going to give me their take on what's been going on. And I want to start with Season 2 of The Boys. We did our, of course, ratings bonanza episode about The Boys Season 1 and looking forward to Season 2 and everything like that. But The Boys Season 2, in your opinion, it kept the momentum and the quality from Season 1. Jeff, we'll start with you. Nerdgasm or Nogasm on that?
Nogasm. That's a big old Nogasm. I don't think it kept the momentum, and it certainly didn't keep the quality. It's weird. It was only 8 episodes long, and I felt like half the season was filler, and I don't think there was a satisfying payoff.
Okay. What did you think about some of the new characters? And I mean, I don't know. I liked a lot of it. I didn't like how they did my guy Black Noir dirty at one point, in my opinion. But what did you think of some of the new characters in
Dude,
it?
your complaint with Black Noir is like the thing that I don't care about at all. I thought that was fine.
Sorry, Davis.
I
think he fell asleep during that part. The Stormfront thing, I mean, she was fine on the show, but I mean, honestly, once you start reading the comic books, you start seeing where some of the shortfalls are on the series. I also feel like Homelander, I don't know, man. Like, he started off all right, as always. He was amazing in season 1, but I don't think anything like was that great accomplished at the end of the season, and I don't think it leaves him like in a good place or anything like that.
Marco, same question to you.
Trying to be careful with spoilers. Sorry, Chris.
Man, having to be so black and white is hard. Same momentum as the first. I'll say a Nogasm to that for sure. I still greatly enjoyed it, but to Jeff's point with like Homelander, it sets himself at the end of season 1 as this really twisted individual, and I feel like his whole character arc in season 2 was trying to make him human again. It was like him trying to kind of refine his humanity as a father, and Homelander's a cold-hearted son of a bitch. That's exactly who he should be. He shouldn't be triveling around with his step-in wife and his new child. Like, I don't care. That's not entertaining to me.
I thought he took kind of a babyface turn sort of late in season 2.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't care for that. I like him being very dark, very cold, and unstoppable.
Also, it's kind of stupid to do a babyface thing with him because you know it's not going to finish that way. So it's like, then why even bother? Honestly,
he just is so much more likable when next to Stormfront. It's just sort of interesting in that way. But continue on, Mark.
But I do like the ultimate evolution for Maeve's character. I thought that was kind of something missing from season 1. So I thought there were some good points there for her. I thought they did some decent development with the female. Even though they gave her a name, but
she had
female
a name in season 1, didn't she?
She shouldn't have.
Well,
stick to the lore of the comics.
So, I guess that do you feel like that reading the comics has sort of lessened your enjoyment of the TV show then?
I mean, they're very different from each other. They are
episodes
quite
were boring
different.
as fuck, regardless.
Yeah.
Okay,
let's not pretend that the comics ruined season 2. Season 2 is not that great a season.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of what happened in season 2 isn't even from the books. It's them just going off script and doing something different.
But that's why I asked the question.
And I don't think it held up to some of the storylines that was actually going on.
That if the expectations of what you read, since they are doing their own thing, if that negatively impacted how you view the show.
I think if it was the same quality of writing, it wouldn't be a big deal. But it's not.
Davis, what say you? Nerdgasm or Nogasm on The Boys Season 2? I know you haven't quite finished it yet.
I'm going to give it a Nerdgasm.
Is that a Doombot?
That's a Nerdgasm, my boys. No, I am enjoying it quite a bit. I like the different take they're taking with Homelander.
I'm bumping Davis's points up.
I like that they're going a little bit different so far from what I've seen them 6 episodes in, and that because the first season, he gets rid of his mother figure, and I think he is trying to change a little bit and take some more control for himself and not be so reliant on somebody like that. And I think there's some wanted change by him. I doubt it's going to keep. And I think you can read into that throughout the season, so maybe that's not as well done as it could be, but I kind of like that. And then with the boys themselves, I like getting a little bit more out of Frenchie's backstory a little bit.
MVP of the season.
And Mother's Milk I still haven't seen too much, but I still enjoy the character quite a bit. But I also love what I recently saw with the Deep and A-Train going into the church. That was fun to me. I like A-Train trying to change it up a little bit. And Maeve has also been a good change. The Stormfront, on the other hand, I've never been a big fan of that actress. and she kind of just bugs me. She's like the new girl, Zoe Deschanel. There's just something
with
about
the big knees.
Yes, with the big knees.
Big knees.
There's just something about a couple of these actors I don't like their deliveries, and I just can't really get behind them. So she's not a big win for me.
Do you honestly think what's going on with Butcher this season is interesting?
With Butcher at the beginning, yes, but not since probably episode 3. I haven't really got much from him since then, so I would agree to that.
Talk to me in 2 episodes too. I'm curious to see what you think.
Okay.
I actually really enjoyed the finale. I'm not going to spoil anything.
The show is called The Boys, though, right? Could The Boys do something?
And Mark, you always say, like it for what it is. Don't worry about the comics. It's a new story for them. Just enjoy it for what it is.
About that.
I prefaced it saying I enjoyed season 2. Did it hold the same momentum as season 1? And were things better portrayed in the comics that maybe negatively impacted how I'm analyzing season 2? Sure. I still stand by. I enjoyed it. I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, I agree with Mark on that front. I enjoy. It wasn't as good, but it still was enjoyable to me, and I did really enjoy the finale. I didn't know I was watching the finale, until a bunch of stuff started going down.
Because the story is so monotonous, right?
Yeah.
It's
No, David.
This season was so boring. I wanted to fast forward during the last episode.
Davis, have you gotten to the?
I remember texting you during the finale, Jeff, and I was just thinking, I was like, he's not enjoying it like I did.
No, I didn't. I enjoyed none of it.
Oh.
I was so confused.
Have you gotten to the court? Have you gone to court yet?
No,
Chris.
No.
All right.
And I was very confused to see my Iceman be a fire boy. And I was not happy.
That was intentional. What a waste he was too. That was a sort of a.
I actually liked.
But
I
like Lamplighters.
I think Lamplighter is better in the show than he was in the comics. There's a whole other gimmick that they do in the comics. And
totally serves a purpose in the comics, and it's exciting to see if they go that route at some point in the show.
That would be interesting.
I like what they did with his character. It had a lot more depth to it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. We previously talked about on an episode John Boyega voicing his displeasure with Disney, with how he was treated in those unfortunate Star Wars sequel movies. He gave an interview, and it came out. They said that after he spoke out, an executive from Disney got in touch with him. It was a very honest, a very transparent conversation. There was a lot of explaining on their end in terms of the way they saw things. They gave me a chance also to explain what my experience was like. I'd hope that me being so open with my career at this stage would help the next man, the guy that wants to be the assistant, the DOP, the guy that wants to be a producer. I hope that the conversation is not such a taboo or elephant in the room now because someone just came out and said it. So, Nerdgasm or Nogasm, John, on this sort of follow-up. Are you buying this sort of interplay with Disney and John Boyega being a positive, or is this just damage control maybe from both of them?
I'm full on Nogasm for this. I think that it's a PR move for Disney, and I think John Boyega is incredibly disingenuous to write that he's doing this for the next man up. That's some pussy ass bullshit, dude. Like, you posted it on Twitter like a little bitch instead of just going directly to the people you have an issue with and having a conversation with them. You posted something on social media for attention and to get people to stir people up, and then that led to a conversation.
I think originally it was an interview with GQ. I want to say. I think originally.
All right, fine. GQ, whatever it is, it's still a pussy ass bitch move, and that's what he did. So no, I don't buy it one bit. If you have a problem with somebody you work with, bring it up to them. Or if you're too much of a bitch to bring it up, then don't bring it up and just swallow it. But don't do a fucking interview about it, and then that leads to a mediated conversation, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm doing this for ascribe some like importance to it as if you're some fucking martyr.
You're not buying any altruism on John Boyega's
absolutely
part.
not,
Okay.
dude. It's complete publicity stunt for him, and so is doing this meeting for Disney. It's all BS, and I'm fine if you want to go out and talk shit publicly about your employers, but don't do the latter half of that statement that you just read.
I bought, how he felt, in that what he said in that interview, but now coming out saying this, it does feel like maybe a little bit of worry about his career and future coming into play.
Yeah.
But what say you, Mark?
Not invested. Sorry. Not invested with these stories.
I don't think anyone should hire him, honestly. Like, if you're gonna work with people in very difficult conditions, which is making massive budget films, they're very difficult things to do. And if your takeaway from a very stressful team experience is to then go out and like trash the team that you worked with publicly, yeah, no one should hire you, dude. Like, your career should be over, and you have nobody to blame but yourself. You know what I mean?
All right, John calling for the end of John Boyega's career.
Cancel him.
Good Lord. Davis, what about you? Where do you come down on this?
Me and my boy
Nerdgasm or
Craig.
Nogasm?
No-gasming over here. I love it, Craig. Let's do this. All right. Yeah.
Gasming to my no-gasm?
No, I'm a no-gasm. I'm with you. We're no-gasming together. We're both unsatisfied here.
This I'm used to.
Boyega's gonna find out real hard what the mouse can do in Hollywood. I don't. Seriously. The mouse has a lot of control over here, and yes, it was a PR move for the mouse to do this on their end, but they're holding the cards here, and I think Boyega realized that pretty quickly afterwards, and that's what stemmed this.
And finally, Jeff.
Let's make it 3 for 3. It's a no-gasm on my end.
With one abstention from Mark.
Yeah, my whole thing with John Boyega is his complaint is still only his perception. It's not a fact that Disney sidelined him and that he was just some sort of like token hire, like he had said. If you watch Force Awakens, just because he's one of the characters that is introduced first, I mean, it's clear that Rey is going to be like the main character. She's the Luke. She's the Jedi. He's
not part of the like family bloodline that's being followed for this story. Like, no one cares about you, dude.
I still don't see why.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I know a lot of these complaints that have been coming out, again, very loosely following, not that invested, but it all seemed to stem around Rian Johnson's takeover of the franchise, and yet everyone's wanting to blame the mouse when they should blame the real problem. Rian Johnson.
Well, I mean, couldn't the mouse have stopped Rian Johnson, though? And also, John Boyega then also complains about the Rise of Skywalker film. And it's like, well, that was also J.J. Abrams. So is J.J. Abrams the one who was building everything up? Or is he the one that took everything away? Or is he the one that's responsible for everything? And yeah, it was a stupid story that Rian Johnson put together, but it's not to say that it wasn't salvageable. I think the problem was that the problem with the trilogy is that J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson had like this very weird, like passive aggressive fight in the movies where where like each movie was then basically just a slap in the face to the previous film. And it's like, why are we doing this? You may not be happy with how The Last Jedi turned out, but The Rise of Skywalker has to play off of what The Last Jedi set up. Instead, he wasted the majority of a very long movie just trying to retcon or fix what was going on in The Last Jedi. It's like, no, man, you roll with those punches and you can get something from it. I mean, if they say that Rey's lineage is nothing, you go with that. If, Kylo Ren is now like the head muckety muck, like that's how it's going to be. There's been no mention of the Emperor before this, then we can't just shoehorn him in at the end. And it's like, my problems with the trilogy, John Boyega being sidelined is like very low on the list. It would have been nice to have more with Finn. I do think Finn was a wasted character, but I mean, fuck, if I'm looking at it, who wasn't a wasted character?
Wasted 3 movies.
I don't know. Maybe if he was just more interesting, like as an actor.
Well, my whole thing is like, Boyega hasn't. Oh, why do you like the Pacific Rim sequel so much, James? John Boyega doesn't have a lot under his belt, and he was like just kind of a jerk about the whole thing. You can't just in 2020. You cannot accuse a company of racism when there's not real evidence of it. That is a really nasty accusation.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's unacceptable to do something like that without any real evidence. He just says that. That's how he feels. And that's supposed to be okay. What if everybody really took a cue from that, and then Rian Johnson gets in trouble? And he's like, I wasn't trying to be racist.
And for what?
I was trying to crap on Star Wars.
Because his character, which is already a side character, has like minimal representation in the movie.
And also, like, did he not still have his own storyline? Was it a stupid storyline? Sure, but there were entire scenes that were just really about him.
Yeah, and if he was a better actor, maybe those scenes would have been more interesting.
I think the heart of the matter is they were just bad movies. He was one of the more intriguing characters until it all went sideways. But let's go to his one of his Star Wars co-stars, Oscar Isaac, being cast as Moon Knight. Nerdgasm or Nogasm to that news? Davis, we'll start with you.
I gotta give it a nerdgasm.
I like your nerdgasms are the best.
Change it up each time.
I think he's fake.
You make me think that you nerdgasm like with me like nobody else.
I
almost believe it.
I love this. I love Oscar Isaac. I love the idea of Moon Knight getting some film time. Let's do it. Let's get this. Let's kick this pig. I'm in. Let's go.
Marco?
Moon Knight is rad. Oscar Isaac's fantastic. Match made in heaven? Possibly. What I'm really curious, though, is what kind of suit are we getting with Moon Knight? Are we going old school hood, or are we going white blazer suit?
I hope
I like that one.
I want the hood. I want the hood.
Are you giving me nerdgasm or nogasm, Mark? I need you to say the words. Say the words.
Nerdgasm.
Say the words. Jeff, where are you coming down on it?
I'll give it a nerdgasm because it's Moon Knight. Yeah. But before we get too excited about Oscar Isaac, do you guys remember him as Apocalypse? Like
that we all know that
it was like Poe Dameron's so great. Like, I mean, he seems fine, but I'm really just more excited for Moon Knight in general. And you could put anybody under the hood.
Because Oscar Isaac, his true greatest performance was in the movie 10 Years, which if you haven't seen, go out of your way to watch it. It's about a 10-year high school reunion. He's the best character in it. Some super feels in it. He's great.
What's that slut robot movie?
So unpleasant, doesn't it?
No, it's tremendous.
Slutty robot.
Ex Machina
in
it.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's good in that too. But 10 Years. Do yourself a favor, watch 10 Years. John, what do you say? Nerdgasm or nogasm?
I want to give it a nogasm because of his association with John Boyega, but boys are all giving it a nerdgasm. I'm saying nerdgasm.
Good Lord.
What a reason.
Like that guy.
I'm just trying to piss off the John Boyega subreddit.
Yeah, okay. So
that's the new target.
John. How nice for you to stop by this month. Thank you. Now goodbye.
I'll be canceled after this episode for saying anything negative about him anyway.
Tape your mouth shut. All right. Well, let's keep it with the sort of the Marvel Cinematic Universes. Wanda Vision is coming out towards the end of this year. Are we nerdgasm or nogasming in our excitement level for Wanda Vision? Marco?
Nogasm.
Nogasm, nothing.
I don't. I
move the needle.
I haven't even. I haven't looked at it. It's like the previews. It's like I guess they're in a sitcom, but I'm wondering, is it actually a sitcom? And then I question myself: do I care enough to look into it to see if it is? And I don't.
Yeah, that's the real question.
Jeff?
I'm with my boy Mark. If it was just Elizabeth Olsen, it's a nerdgasm all the time. But no, this is a total nogasm. The show looks boring. I don't really give a shit. I don't give a shit about Scarlet Witch or Vision in the MCU. I like them in the comics. I don't know if I really give a shit about the MCU anymore. I don't think I'm a nerd anymore. I don't want to do this podcast.
It's a nogasm for me.
When we come back from break, we're going to be a sports show.
Yeah. I still have the alternate banners. Davis, what about you?
It's a very dry.
No, I know
very
Davis
dry.
Is satisfied.
Nogasm. So Wanda and Vision.
Well, that's not going to stop me, Davis.
And they just don't do it for me. They don't even make it twitch. You know, it's just not there. I can't even get it going. So this story is just lackluster.
1 in 5.
Disney Plus needs more shows.
Yeah, they're gonna have to.
We're getting
dig
Winter
a little
Soldier
deeper.
and the Falcon.
I'm not watching that.
That's Nerdgasm for me. John, what about you?
Be in a movie. I don't want to watch.
I feel the exact same way as Mark. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all, and I don't really. It looks so stupid that I don't even want to look into it. If I hear like years from now that it was a good show, I might check it out. But yeah, it looks.
All right, what about this show? John Cena, The Peacemaker, HBO Max. He's getting a show. Nerdgasm, Nogasm. Marco, what do you got?
Absolutely Nerdgasm. Super stoked for this. First of all, it's John Cena. You see 12 rounds? You should. It's a fine film. Also, The Marine, excellent film. So seeing him as Peacemaker is very exciting. Definitely excited for people to finally get acquainted with the character, because most people only know about the comedian's reference for him. and that's it. So John Cena, man, anything he does is gold. You heard his albums?
I went there to Warehouse the first day to buy his album when it first came out. Davis, what about you?
What a surprise,
Come on,
Mark.
baby.
You had a nerdgasm for a DC character. So strange. Nogasm. This is a Nogasm.
That's motivated by your hatred of pro wrestling.
This is motivated by a shit character that I don't give a shit about. That's already going to be in the Suicide Squad movie. I don't need more of this guy.
You like the comedian in Watchmen?
I love the comedian. I don't need a whole movie about him.
That's who it is.
I don't need a whole movie about him. I'm liking him as a team. That's all I need. I don't need him in a full movie. I don't need John Cena because he's never made a good movie in his life. So
how dare you?
Fred cameos.
He was arguably the best part of the Fred. Maybe we should rewatch those. I'll bring Zika back in here, punish you some more, Davis.
I feel like I feel like your good movie list, Mark, is a Zika list special. So
Blockers, dude, Blockers.
Blockers was great.
What is going on?
No.
Yeah.
One good movie. Name one good movie.
How fun.
I can name two.
No,
What
Fred.
are they, John?
Do not.
That's why I'm gonna give it a Nerdgasm. Daddy's Home 1 and 2.
Oh,
great movies, and honestly, I don't like wrestling, but I do like people following in The Rock's footsteps, because I think he is great, and I think given enough time, other wrestlers and enough at bats, other wrestlers can also make the transition and be great entertainers outside of the wrestling world as well.
And you used to like wrestling. I'm not.
Yeah, when it was good.
I'm
I'm
no-gasming you're not liking wrestling.
We got to do
Jeff, finally to you, Nerdgasm or Nogasm on.
We got to do a Suburban Commando Mr. Nanny watch-a-thon with John to let him know that Hulk Hogan had paved the way long before The Rock.
They live, baby. How about Roddy Piper?
Well, They Live is still one of the best movies that a wrestler.
I'm giving all credit to The Rock, but certainly, but he's the biggest, I would say.
Do you guys not remember Stone Cold Steve Austin's cameos on Nash Bridges?
Nash Bridges?
Dude.
How about The Condemned?
The Condemned. That was a
Condemned was sick. Oh,
but I mean, The Rock has broken through. I would say maybe Hulk Hogan has broke through to the same extent.
Thunder in Paradise, man. He had his own show.
Hulk Hogan, Thunder Lips, Rocky 3. Anyway, I'm giving this a Nogasm. Team Nikki Bella all day.
Wow, dude. No. Come on, man. Come on. All right.
You had your chance, John.
Boo.
Hey, John's got a new one now. Younger.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah. I'm not impressed.
Well, I'm fairly certain that Nikki Bella was cheating on him during Dancing with the Stars. Anyway, how convenient that she ended up with.
You can't throw around accusations like that, John Boyega. You don't know for a fact.
I do know for a fact. John Cena told me. I don't like it. We're gonna take one more break. On the other side, we're gonna get into the Mandalorian Season 2, and we're gonna pay tribute to Sir Sean Connery on the Best Damn Nerd Show.
What up, nerds? Lore Master Tim here. We're excited to be delivering your weekly fix of nerd culture, but it's not enough. We need your life force to sustain us. So use those hot little hands to subscribe, rate, and review us on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or however you take your medicine. One of our favorite pastimes on the BDNS is reading fan mail on air. So sing us a song of hatred or love, and you may just hear your beautiful words being featured on an episode. That's why it's important, nay, essential, to rate and review us. Until then, As always, nerds, say it loud, say it proud.
Hey guys, it's the loquacious anime and manga lover Jahns here. Now I have watched a lot of anime and I've read an abundance of manga, so you would think that I have a pretty interesting opinion on the culture. From classics like Golden Boy and Ghost in the Shell to masterpieces such as Psycho Pass and Gantz. Come and join me as I talk about the world of anime and manga, which has had a huge impact on my life. And who knows, whatever I talk about and recommend to you guys could become one of your favorite series.
Ammo with Jammers.
It's the microphone alchemist Bimbo Jimbo here, and when I'm not verbally super kicking Last Jedi fans on the Best Damn Nerd Show, or fantasy casting The Rock in another movie on the DLC, well, that's when I actually get to talk about wrestling. That's right, come join me in the Wrestling War Room, where I take my mic to the mat and launch my hot takes about the Wednesday Night War between AEW and NXT. The Wrestling War Room, which side are you on?
Hi, I'm Mark Truex, and you may know me as the CSO of Star Labs from the Best Damn Nerd Show, and I'd like to invite you to join me and the Imperial Commissar Jeff Budd on another podcast of ours, the Ultra Monthly Podcast, a retrospective and monthly show where we dive deep into the Ultraverse, the 1990s superhero comic book universe from Malibu Comics, and we believe it's prime time. The Ultraverse got the love it always deserved. Are you an Ultraforce fan? We are too. You missed the glory of the 90s comic book boom? So do we. And are you obsessed with these Ultras? Damn right we are. And you can join us monthly as we geek out over classic characters like Prime, Mantra, Rune, and the Nightman. So jump on now to the Ultra Monthly Podcast and subscribe today on Spotify, iTunes, and everywhere podcasts are found.
Welcome back to the Best Damn Nerd Show. One final segment on this episode. Bimbo Jimbo and with Jeff Budd, Mark Truex, John Craig, and Chris Davis. And I want to get into now, perhaps, for those of you watching on YouTube, the visual gags continue, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff Budd drinking out of his Mandalorian coffee mug. It's a little late in the evening to be having coffee. Perhaps something more soothing like some warm milk, perhaps. Jeff, what are you drinking there?
Just water.
No, okay. So drinking some water out of your Mandalorian, your little mug.
Because if it was hot, little baby Yoda and Mando would be on this side under the wanted, but it's just
you can bring it in hot or you can bring it in cold. So we are going to be talking about the Mandalorian Season 2. Perhaps this will become our latest podcast within a podcast, as Mandalorian is a weekly non-binge show. So we'll have every opportunity to discuss it here. But Season 2 was released whilst we were doing our horror shows. So I wanted to get into what we thought about the Season 2 debut and dive into it. Jeff, we'll start with you. Overall thoughts on the premiere of Season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Started out strong. I absolutely adored it. I have a new favorite character in the series. I love Cobb Vanth. I thought he was a total badass. The Tusken Raiders, I guess it's fine. I kind of like the idea of them just being like bloodthirsty savages that just will not interact with anybody else. But I mean, I don't know. It's not the end of the world that they actually were able to like communicate and work with them. Crate Dragon was cool. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. At the end, I was just like, is the Mandalorian just going to stand there and watch as like everybody else is doing stuff? And then it's like, okay, we're doing jetpack fighting too. Cause like, I was like, this is kind of a weird ending to the episode. The two best guys are just like, I'm watching them watch the adventure.
Yeah.
You made a lot of sort of similar sentiments that I had going in, and I'm going to circle back to all of them. But Marco, overall thoughts on Mando Season 2 debut?
It was an amazing way back into the series. Thought there's lots of great action. Just the fact that you got the dragon in there, something that you've always played with in a lot of video games and seen bones of. So to actually get like, I wasn't going to say a one-on-one necessarily, but a full-on showdown with it is great. Lots of great nods to some of the original films with the Boba Fett armor in there. Some teases of what may be happening for the season. Timothy Oliphant's always great. Big fan ever since he was Mickey. So, yeah. It was great, man. I'm hooked in. I'm hooked back in. It's just as strong a showing as in first season.
You're nerdgasming right now. I love it. Davis, what about you?
No, we're not doing that nerdgasm anymore, huh? I gotta stop gassing him.
No, you can gasm if you want. Mark's gasming all over the place.
Do you still have any left in you?
I got some gasm in me.
We'll get that Blue Chew sponsor if it kills me.
You gotta love Timothy Oliphant, right? I mean, the guy's just a gem. Put him in everything. I love the man. So he's great. Can we talk about the main issue with the show though? That is.
We'll get into it. Just what is your main issue?
The woman mechanic.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We will get into that.
She's the worst. She can take you out of anything. But no, it was great. Awesome.
Overall thoughts.
It was great. Love seeing the crate dragon, the pearl crate, the crate pearl at the end. Man, I love the references that they had in this episode.
Lightsaber.
Yes. It's just, I love it. There's so many good moments in this episode. Really brought you back into the season and just pumped for the rest of it.
Man, I agree with so much. I too nerdgasming over this season 2 debut. I loved it. I've watched it probably 3 times. Just put a big smile on my face. I love the new characters. I love some of the things that we saw in this. But finally, John, what did you think of the season 2 premiere?
I thought it was fine.
Stick to the script.
I thought it was fine. I need to see more. I mean, like I said, nothing really happened. I get that there were cool references in it, and I also appreciated that. I actually like that he can kind of uniquely communicate with the Tusken Raiders. I think that makes him interesting. I feel like we didn't really pick up where we left off per se. Like we kind of where we ended on season 1, it felt like almost where we needed to start in season 1 for me. And we kind of talked about that last episode, and we had established like some characters and some development and some progression. And then this episode like kind of starts random and then just stays random, and we don't really get any of those elements back. So, I think over the course of the season, they'll probably return to some of those things, and maybe we'll get a little bit more depth. But right now there's really not much story happening. It's just like a kind of one-off, like task that he had to do.
One-off fun adventure. Is that what you meant, John?
But
had some fun.
It seems like that's just what the show is, and I think
there's a lot of Monster of the Week type stuff.
It's Monster of the Week. There's not a lot of like depth beyond that to like what's happening, and I don't think this episode really did a good job of setting up like where they're going and what they're doing. You have to kind of remember how last season ended. So I don't know. I'll give it more time. I don't think it was like amazing, but I don't think it was terrible.
It does seem like when we were messaging on Discord that you were enjoying it a little bit more than maybe season 1.
Yeah, but now I have the benefit of having seen season 1, and it laid down at least some momentum for this story and character that like I can lean on now. It was just hard to get invested those first few episodes of season 1.
You brought up a couple things when we were talking about it. And Davis, you did as well. the actress that plays the mechanic, who was on my critique list in season 1.
Was that Melissa Leo?
It's Amy Sedaris. How do you guys not love Amy Sedaris? Jerry Blank.
She is terrible.
Is she married to somebody
in The Mandalorian?
I think she's great in as Jerry Blank, but in this role,
but in The Mandalorian, she's awful.
You guys don't love her as James Caan's secretary in Elf? She was wonderful.
I love her in everything else she's been in. I just don't I don't believe that she's a mechanic on Tatooine. Like, it seemed like she was really struggling to remember her lines. I felt like I was watching someone take their first acting class. She was just terrible. Like, she just rattled stuff off.
It was stunning that, because in terms of, I think everybody knows how much I love The Mandalorian, but in terms of taking me out of the Star Wars universe, which is something that The Mandalorian has done extremely well, making you feel like that you're in that world, she completely is like coming out of hyperspace on the Falcon. It's like, I am out of this universe and they gave her more lines. They gave her more to say, and then like
she talked for like 3.5 minutes.
That fourth line, I guess he doesn't hate droids anymore. Lies like, what are we doing? Stop it!
I do like when she was like, if he buds or splits, I'll happily buy the second one. Like that was, I mean, there were funny parts of it. I don't feel like
her interacting with the baby after Strangers with Candy makes me laugh, but it's still not taking me out of the Mandalorian.
I don't feel like she. I mean that she's a weak character. She's a weak actress, but like in the show,
why is she back?
But I don't feel like she is like. I don't think she's one of my big criticisms of the episode.
I also question her map of Tatooine too. It's just everything about her did not appreciate. Davis, go in on her.
Yeah, no, it's just none of her lines landed for me. I don't like. Why are we using this as a usual side character right now? Why is she a pivotal point in this story?
Off the mechanic in season 1, so now we have to deal with those sins.
I'll tell you why it kind of works for me. I forgot that Mando had been to Tatooine until I saw her. I was like, oh yeah, we've been.
Oh, okay, all right.
It was a great episode when he was
like
on
a bookmark for me.
Dude, how badass would it have been if the old man was still there that he could have like checked in with? Was that on Tatooine?
That wasn't.
No.
Tatooine.
God damn it, Tatooine-like planet.
Yeah, and that's exactly why you need her. It's like that's the Tatooine desert planet.
You won me over.
That's the one with the red-eyed
She was
Jawas. I got it.
Yeah.
No, I love. I mean,
that doesn't make her great.
The new bounty hunter that they met the first.
Well, it
time
doesn't make her not great.
Yeah.
Mark, what say you about the mechanic on Tatooine?
Just like you said, it really did kind of pull me out. It felt clunky for getting started, especially with those droids. That's how I always felt about the droids in the prequels, where they're doing the little comedic bumbling and falling over, and it's one of my least favorite part of those movies. And man, it hit it on the head in that scene.
Yeah, it's just all the bad. I mean, I guess they just want to put all the bad stuff.
But, that's in there for some people.
Yeah,
I guess
it's a bummer.
Right.
It's a bummer that the only reference to like the arc that we saw the first season is a joke where he's like, you know what, they should do a once over, and she's like, oh, I guess he likes droids now.
That line was one of the worst.
It's the only reference to like this journey that we watched last season that's kicked off everything.
Also, completely unnecessary. It doesn't really mean that he likes droids. That he was being tolerant of them working on his ship. Anyway, I don't want to get too bogged down with that, but she did deserve to be called out for her ridiculously terrible performance, and I am now fearful that she's going to return yet again, perhaps as soon as next episode.
She'll be on as much as Gina Carano was.
So that is disheartening to say the least. I
think they're going to have a love interest spark up.
Mando needs a mechanic.
Yeah, I know. We killed Queel, so now she's going to be the one having to fix the razor crest the whole series. This is terrible. But John, you brought up something else when we were talking about in terms of. I don't fully agree with you, but I definitely noticed it a couple times. What did you think of the special effects, John?
I felt like they leaned on like CGI a lot more this episode than in the first season, and I think one of the things that drew everyone into the first season was the practical effects and feeling like old Star Wars because it was so practical, and it was like little things where it's like kind of unnecessary to do it too, like the Tusken Raiders like handing the water over, and even the droids look kind of shitty. And like the whole opening scene with the fight and that stuff, like it was just poorly done with CGI. Like I think that they should have done practicals for a lot more of it.
I think the only time it stood out to me as bad was like when those like Tusken Raider wolfhound creatures showed up. Was the only time that to me I didn't like it. I thought everything else played pretty well. I definitely see what you mean in terms of them using more CGI, but the only time where it sort of took me out of it that I can think of was then.
Honestly,
what did you guys think?
Yeah, no, I saw this. I saw the same thing for sure, and I wasn't sure if I was seeing it right, but I did notice that it definitely seemed like more CGI, and that's why I really liked The Mandalorian in season 1, because it was a lot of practical, and I hope they don't lean too much into this. Even some of the sets seemed CGI, which I didn't really think they did too much of in season 1.
They did a lot of it in season 1.
Yeah. All the other special effects didn't really stand out for me as like not belonging. The only scene that did was when they're on the speeder bikes traveling with the sand people to the cave, and it's showing them like driving right alongside it, and it just felt horribly green screened. Where it just felt like it didn't blend. Where it was just like,
for a lot
weird.
of it, they're actually shooting it not on green screen, but on with like LED backgrounds. So like it's a practical screen behind them. Almost, for something like that, it would be like the old school movies where they had like a projector outside the window of the car.
So they're playing it, and then they're going by.
So it's possible that it looked weird if like the timing. Yeah, if the timing just wasn't right on it, and that's how they do a lot of their like sets. And I think it looks cool for the most part. I guess I just noticed a couple little things, but I guess I would wonder if it's like they have a limited amount of budget and they spent more of it on quality big VFX CGI scenes later on. So some of the early stuff is shopped out to like smaller companies. Like if there's some big battle with the Jedis or something that requires a lot of it later on. Or if this is a direction they're heading in where they're going to do more CGI and less practical. We'll see.
Jeff, how'd you feel about it? Was it business as usual, or did you notice anything standing out from this?
No, I felt fine about it, except for the part that Mark had talked about. I mean, that was, I guess, like the only like cringy part, maybe in terms of how it looked on screen. But I don't know. I kind of write that stuff off because I'm like, it's a TV show.
That's the one part that I was okay with, though, because it's like this whole show is reminiscent of like old school filmmaking.
Yeah,
and that did almost feel like an homage to like that old style of shooting car scenes.
Yeah,
so I was able to forgive that a little bit more.
I think in terms of forgiving things, like that's where I come to with the Mandalorian is that I enjoy it so much that little things like that, like I might notice certain things again, like that terrible mechanic or whatever, but it's easy for me to move on from it because the rest of it is so good to me. I enjoy the rest of it so much. No, I mean, I loved how this episode started. I love that we get to see, the Star Wars Cyclops alien, the Abyssins, voiced by John Leguizamo, screwing over the Mando. We got to see some Gamorreans fighting. A Gamorrean doing a wrestling plancha, move towards the Mandalorian certainly tickled me very much so. I really... I love just so much, again, of the world building that I feel like Mandalorian does really well. And it's something that it's referencing stuff that exists in Star Wars past without it feeling forced. Like, just as a random, for instance, when Yoda says, "Thank you, Chewbacca," in episode 3, like that's a very forced reference, like, hey, we're in the same world kind of deal. But, when we see the Gamorreans and we see the Abyssins and stuff like that, it's just kind of a cooler, like, hey, this feels bigger. This feels like what I got to see in the cantina all those years ago when I was a kid, and like coming full circle around. They're just really good at doing that. So I was just immediately sort of smiling from the start with it. And I also loved how that all played out. But Jeff, you mentioned that your new favorite character in the series, Timothy Oliphant, playing the Marshal, Cobb Vanth. God, he is cool. Like, what a great character. What was it about him that you liked so much, Jeff?
Well, first off, if Yoda did not thank Chewbacca, that would have taken me out of the movie because Jedi are supposed to be very polite, and Chewbacca helped him read Kashyyyk. So I thought that was fine. The reason why first off, I'm glad John is on this episode because, John, did you not just get a Jim Raynor vibe from him?
Yeah.
He's the Marshal in this like remote backwater planet.
Yeah.
The way he carries himself. We're never going to get a StarCraft movie, but it's like, that's my Jim Raynor.
He didn't need to go back for any of them either.
No.
Like, there was no real need to do that except for his own personal sense of justice, which I love.
Yeah, I loved it too. I love the introduction of him because at first when the mystery Tatooine Mandalorian came walking in, I was like, oh, wow, he looks like shit.
I DM'd James at the same time. I DM'd James at the same time, and I was like, who's this low-cut pant wearing ass?
Yeah, right.
Like, this armor doesn't even fit.
And then it's so great. Armor. He's like, have a drink with me. I was like, how can they do that? They can't take their helmets off.
Well,
and then he took his helmet off. I was like, oh my God, he's not actually a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And then
jeez, we're taking everybody.
But I loved all of it because I liked his attitude. He really is just like a space cowboy. And his attitude towards the Tusken Raiders I thought was great because that's exactly how the Tatooine locals should be. The way he carried himself against the Mandalorian, he wasn't exactly going to back down. But at the same time, he is willing to make a deal with him to take the armor back. He just needs something from him in return. I'm trying to think. And my favorite part, because I was really hoping this would be the case, was at the end of the episode when he's like, hey, like maybe we'll see each other again or something like that. It's like, oh, good. He's going to be a part of the recruit
Join
episode.
the crew!
Like every season, it's like, we'll just bring everybody back at the very end. I was
just going to say,
Carl
though,
Weathers and everybody.
Yeah. I was just going to say, though, like this show does such a great job with those side characters. Like, I think we all kind of unanimously love all the side characters that were introduced, including the droid from last season.
Oh, hell yeah.
And they set the president well. I hope that they allow that character to like be in more episodes though, because that was such a bummer from last season.
Yeah, I hope Boba Fett doesn't just murk him the next time we see him.
I don't think that'll be the case. Also, like Timothy Olyphant, I feel is like a big enough star that's like you gotta at least kind of use him to a certain degree. So I'm hoping that is the case. I mean, maybe it's just the Couture player in me. It's like, why can't we just have all of these characters in every episode on the ship together? It would have been great.
Yeah,
like I would. I know it's called The Mandalorian, but
but it makes sense because this little like Yoda creature kind of touches them all in that way. Although this one was more about Mando than the Yoda,
which I loved that aspect of it. I loved
Baby Yoda was not really that much of a presence in this one. He had a couple of cute little parts. He had one of my favorite parts from the trailer when he knew shit was going to go down. Closed his little baby crib.
Yeah.
Like, I loved all that, but like they didn't rely on his powers. He wasn't. I mean, it really was a practical solution to taking out the Krayt Dragon. The only thing is, and I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, so I didn't know this, but I know some people bitched online that the relationship between Sand People and their banthas, it's like they would never just willingly sacrifice one to a Krayt Dragon. Apparently, you have one for life. When you mate with a Sand person, their banthas mate. Like, I mean, you are united with that creature.
Desperate times. They had
maybe maybe you would actually give up.
Was destroying everything.
And then I heard somebody go, and the Krayt Dragon knew about that bond, which is why he went after the Sand person instead of the bantha, because he knew he would never give up his bantha.
Smart Krayt Dragon. You brought up something that was in my notes, is that Baby Yoda, the child, was a very minor part of this episode. I thought the Mandalorian got to be the badass in this that he was. Yeah. He came up with the solution. He's the one that defeated the Krayt Dragon. It wasn't, Baby Yoda working his magic or the Force at the end. I really love that Mando got to be the alpha in this episode. But circling back to Timothy Olyphant, Mark, what'd you think of our guy Cobb Vanth?
Ultimately, pretty cool. He had a certain level of swagger that he never let go of, that only Timothy could do. Yeah, but man, did he look silly in his outfit.
What?
Just his
even
armor,
like
just
things.
Yeah, it just didn't fit, man. It's like, go buy a jacket or something. Like,
it wasn't made for him.
I guess sometimes both suns shine on a womp rat's tail. I loved it. Everything about him was cool.
No, he was great. But yeah, just sometimes looking at him in the armor, like he'd put the helmet on and then take it off time to time. Like, why wouldn't he wear the helmet on the speeder bike so we could see his face? Get all that sand in your face.
You pay for Timothy Olyphant. You have to take that helmet off. What'd you think about him using the jetpack, though? Like the rocket launcher part of the jetpack?
I like seeing that in action and getting to see it multiple times.
Yes.
But where is he keeping all those extra rockets?
Space ammo packs. It's actually, if you hit the X button, you get access to your inventory and you can reload.
Yeah, just gotta check your inventory, Mark.
Yeah, exactly. I like the references to KOTOR that we got too. With we're talking about the Tusken Raiders, Jeff. I agree with you too, and it's sort of one of my things is like, we don't need to make them so sympathetic, but I actually thought it was still, if you watch the scene when the Mandalorian is talking about, they are brutal, they are raiders, but they will also hold to their word. Yeah. I thought that did a lot to sort of restore how it was like, yes, they do bad things to the settlers and everything like that, but you can communicate with them. You have to walk that line. And so I thought that actually saved a lot of it for me. I love that we see the Krayt Dragon Pearl. Granted, a lot bigger than how I envision it, given that in KOTOR you can put it in your lightsaber. But I thought that was just such a, even communicating with the Sand People, which we talked about when we discussed season 1, is sort of a KOTOR reference. So I really enjoyed that. I thought that was very cool. And I loved how that played out. Davis, what did you think about that?
Yeah, I got giddy seeing the pearl. Like I said earlier, it was just a KOTOR reference, and yeah, it was bigger, but hey, you just whittle it down a little bit, make 20 of them, and then you got a match.
Maybe that dragon is like much older than the other one or something, so the pearl is bigger.
Maybe a
What did you guys think about the crate dragon in general? Because I thought it looked awesome. I thought they did really well with it.
I think that's where the CGE money went in this episode.
Yeah, it might have been. And I like the movie Tremors, so
yeah, right.
Hell yeah.
It felt like Shadows of Dune, so got me excited.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, we didn't even talk about just like all the Dune references. I loved how much it was like Dune. I think I even said when I was watching, I was like, "We've got Worm Sign," and it's like the spice must flow.
I think that, it felt like, we've seen different representations of the crate dragon, be it the bones or in KOTOR, where it's very much so more like kind of like a Komodo dragon, albeit, or a regular just dragon of immense size. It felt like it fit for what the landscape of Tatooine would be, and that would be the apex predator on a planet like Tatooine. So I really enjoyed how they portrayed it. I thought it was a very cool baddie to take down to start off the season. And again, I thought the action was great. I loved how they shot them flying around on the jetpacks. It was brief, but I thought it looked better than how they did it in season 1. It just didn't seem as herky-jerky. It just felt very natural. And I liked it quite a bit. I thought the action was great in this episode. We got to talk about the sort of the last shot that we see of that mysterious figure played by Temuera Morrison on Tatooine. Are we all going all in? That's Boba Fett. What are we saying, Marco?
Is it Boba Fett or is it Rex?
Wait, that's what I'm asking you. What do you think?
I don't know. Originally, I wanted it to be Boba Fett, but how would he just let his armor go? You know what I mean?
I'm wondering how he escaped the Sarlacc pit or something like that. He may have even just been totally screwed up, and the Jawas just took it from him, or I don't know. And Rex usually has a beard.
They did mention that the Sarlacc pits are never empty unless something else eats it. So I'm wondering if Boba Fett escaped, ate the Sarlacc, and then somebody killed that crate. No, the crate dragon ate the Sarlacc, and then somebody killed that crate, and that's how they got the armor. So they only got pieces of it. But I don't know. I was trying to piece it together myself, and that's what I came up with. So
yeah, I hope it's Boba Fett though.
Yeah, I think it's 100% Boba Fett.
I mean, it kind of has to be. Otherwise, it would almost be like
what are we doing?
What? Just some random clone trooper or something? That's stupid.
Yeah, I mean,
we're on Tatooine.
I'm in for it to be Boba as well. John, is it Boba Fett or is it some other weird clone character?
I don't know. Honestly, I went into this hoping that we would see some reference to the Jedis, because that was the big.
We're gonna get there.
It's Star Wars.
But, yeah, but so I was thinking maybe that was some Jedi that they think that they're going to go to the sorcerers and it's going to be a surprise for the sorcerers to see Yoda, but that they've been followed the entire time. I don't know.
I think that the Mandalorian's in for an Avatar-like surprise when he gets to the air temple and all the sorcerers are dead already.
Can I ask you guys though, because I appreciated the references. I thought it was a cool episode overall, but was it a satisfying setup to the story of season 2?
For me, yeah.
It feels like we're wading back into it.
Because he's trying to find, he says it multiple times in the episode, he's trying to find where he can return the child to. That's his quest that he's on. He's trying to find another Mandalorian covert because they'll have more information because of their connections and everything like that. And that's what led him to Tatooine in this episode and sort of this monster of the week deal. So for me, it was very satisfying. And I like that because we're going to get all the looking for the Jedi and sorcerers and stuff like that. I like that in this first episode, we see Boba Fett's armor again. We've seen probably Boba Fett, assuming that's him. And, it's a follow-up from season 1 because was Boba Fett that figure that we saw on Tatooine the last time? So I was very satisfied. I'm very intrigued with where it's going, and I thought it was just a gangbusters way to. Yeah, I'm gassing.
Are you certain that that's what he's still on though? Like, wouldn't it have been better for him to get some sort of like lead or tip that sends him in the right direction? So
he did come up empty-handed. I will absolutely say that. But that's what he was going for still. You know, that was the reason what took him to Tatooine when he, you know, was dealing with Gor Koresh, was he was looking for another Mandalorian. He's looking for leads on how to find a Jedi to return the child to. So I was satisfied. He came up empty. They're not all winners. So in terms of
it's the first episode of a season, like I feel like it needs some direction.
The action was great. We got a great introduction of an awesome, dripping, cool new character. We got reference to Boba Fett, one of the, whether it's deserved or not, most popular characters in Star Wars history.
But it's all
He's
references.
alive.
That's all references, though.
No, but we see him on screen more or less. We see his armor. So it's exciting that Boba Fett's going to be reweaved into this world now. And so that it left me very satisfied.
Okay.
Anybody else? Is satisfied?
I mean, I'll just toss on to there too. It helps like reinforce some of the lore of who the Mandalorian are and some of their codes of ethics and things like that. That, you know, he was searching out one of his own compatriots and finding out that he's dead is like, I'm not leaving without that armor though. And to the fact that he goes through this great length and this huge trial just to take that back when he could have just left. It also speaks to his character that he didn't just kill the guy and take it. Almost did, but
yeah, he would have. Back to the question though: is Boba Fett really one of his compatriots? Is Boba Fett a Mandalorian? Sort of back to the episode before. You know, where does canon stand on that? Maybe that's why Boba Fett ditched the armor to begin with, because he doesn't. You know, maybe it was too hot out there, and it's like it protected him for a long time, but he's trying to survive. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't adhere to that because he's not actually one. I don't really know where the show is going to come down on that though. But I certainly prefer Boba Fett in the armor than in that weird sort of garb he was wearing at the end. Yeah, it wasn't really doing it for me.
It's been a rough few years, dude.
Yeah, it's hard living out there.
Look, I hear all that you guys are saying. I'm gonna give it time. I thought that it was a good episode. I think it would have been a really good like episode 2 or 3 of a season. I feel like they need to like kind of pick up where they left off a little bit more, or at least, you know, have some tie-ins, and then you can get into like the character establishment. I like that he took the armor at the end. Like there was a moment where it's like, oh, maybe he'll just be like, you know what, this guy's a good guy.
I thought he was going to do that too. Yeah,
but I like that he took it. Like it's meaningful. But yeah, I as a thesis for like where this season is going, I don't think it was very clear.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. For me, I think it would have been more disappointing for me if he got that lead and he comes up empty-handed midway through the season and not knowing where he's going next after that.
I agree with that.
I thought it was a fine lead-in, but you're right though, because, you know, I thought he was going to be like, you know, you earn this armor, you can keep it, sort of almost making him an honorary Mandalorian. But if he did that, then he really came up empty-handed in this episode, and he just sort of killed that crate dragon out of the kindness of his own heart.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, he just killed that. But I do hope that Cobb Vanth shows up again. I hope we get our reintroduction of Boba Fett soon. But I want to end tonight talking about the late great Sean Connery. Passed away last week, and I think I can speak for everyone. He's, you know, certainly one of our favorite actors, or have been in, you know, some of our favorite movies of all time. And just wanted to end tonight by paying tribute to Sean Connery. So let's talk about him. When you think of Sean Connery, what do you think of, Mark?
James Bond, right off the bat, one of my favorites. You Only Live Twice. Absolute standout there. The Rock, of course, Nick Cage classic, but Sean Connery really steals the show there.
Yes.
Yeah. Last Crusade, Indiana Jones, definitely added a lot of character depth there for Indy, with that father and son relationship. And Highlander, man. Highlander.
So we're gonna be doing our Fantastic Four. So is that your Fantastic Four for?
Yeah, I mean that goes right into yeah. I mean those are probably my Fantastic Four. I mean I kind of waffle with the idea of like Highlander, like Dragonheart, though dragons, so, you know, he was just like the voice. But yeah, I'll keep Highlander in the mix. But just the fact that he was around for so long, for years, doing some great work in that step, and I like the fact that he actually retired. It makes me feel good thinking that he got to like coast into like his golden years, if you would, and sail off in the sunset. I mean, the dude lived a nice long life. Good for him.
Yes.
And the fact that League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, what was that, like 2003?
Yeah,
I think something like that. It's a good amount of time to finally like rest on your laurels and like just look back at the awesome shit you did, you know.
Finally he's like, well, that's the perfect movie, the one to go out on. That's my Super Bowl. So that's what I'm doing. That was naughty. Davis, what about you? What do you think of Sean Connery?
I grew up on Sean Connery, as I think probably a lot of us did, but even before, you know, GoldenEye became a thing in my life and James Bond was well known, my dad introduced me to James Bond very early in life because my dad loved James Bond, and so I was introduced to that character with the originals. It wasn't Pierce Brosnan when, you know, that was more along my age when I might have seen it. I was introduced by Sean Connery, and that was James Bond to me, and that was always something I looked at, and that's what I thought of with Sean Connery. And then, of course, in the 90s, you have all these action movies that he was a part of, like, as Mark mentioned, The Rock, The Untouchables was always a favorite of mine. So, I mean, if I'm going to, yeah, I'll save my Fantastic Four for later. But
we'll circle back. But I'm glad you brought up, you both brought up the sort of the James Bond thing and how you were introduced to it with your dad, because it was a very similar experience for me. Is that, you know, we used to rent them, and we went in order of how they were released. So I started with Dr. No, you know, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, which is my personal favorite James Bond movie, and on down the line, love Thunderball, and You Only Live Twice and everything too. He, to me, embodies what James Bond was. He's the best James Bond to me. And my dad, also a huge James Bond fan. When people would ask my dad this, and I witnessed this multiple times, yes, you know, if you could have, you know, the sort of like the icebreaker question, if you could have one person come to dinner, real or fictional, who would it be? And he'd always say James Bond. So, you know, just he was the embodiment of that, one of the coolest characters ever, which was James Bond. So also got exposed to him with Darby O'Gill, which I don't know if that's on anybody's Fantastic Four, but it was a consideration on mine. A little peek ahead. But Jeff Budd, what do you think of with Sean Connery? Is it James Bond, and just what else do you comes to mind?
I guess it's kind of James Bond, but to me it's like, I don't know, just stuff from my lifetime. He just always was like an older guy, you know, and he was just in all those movies. So it's like I'll always picture him with, you know, the beard and being a little older, a little heavier, a little balder, and all of that. It's like, that's my Sean Connery. I like him like that. Yeah. I remember, this is so long ago now, I was in middle school and I was talking to this girl and she was saying that Sean Connery was sexy. And I just, and like looking back, it's like Sean Connery was really fucking old already. Like, and I didn't accept her answer. I said, no, you don't. You don't think that. I was like, I wish I could push a button right now and make you fuck Sean Connery.
Because when you're a kid,
I was like, you're not going to enjoy it. She was like 12 years old, and she said that to me.
And when you're a kid, even when you watch like old movies when these people were younger, like they still look really old.
Yeah, they look old. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, it hasn't been mentioned yet, but like Hunt for Red October and stuff like that. Like that's the Sean Connery I think of. That's how I was, because my first James Bond was Pierce Brosnan, and then I like kind of worked backwards. So my Sean Connery is like 90s Sean Connery.
John, how about you?
I would say my four are James Bond, The Untouchables.
Which Rock. James Bond though?
He's taking them all.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not like a huge James Bond fan, but like I definitely.
You get Never Say Never Again.
Yeah, that's the one that John. that's
the one with Pierce Brosnan.
That's
and then
just doesn't even get a Sean Connery.
And then probably like the Sean Connery moment that's like most instilled in in my psyche is the "Suck It Trebek" SNL sketch.
That's not actually Sean Connery.
Which is him, yeah.
He's a part of pop culture.
But that's what goes to what Jeff is saying. Like at that point, he was a meme before there were memes. Like he had transcended even his own identity and was like this part of the cultural fiber.
With "You're the Man Now, Dog."
Oh, dude, Finding Forrester.
Do you remember those?
Dude,
just tons of viral websites of "You're the Man Now" just on loop.
Finding Forrester is a great movie. I want to read what Jeff posted on my Facebook when I was commemorating him because this is awesome and this is something that I had not heard. Is this real, Jeff?
Yeah, it's real.
Okay, so Jeff captioned it, real ass dude. This is from the desk of Sean Connery, and this is to Stephen F. Jobs of Apple Computers. Mr. Jobs, I will say this one more time. You do understand English, don't you? I do not sell my soul for Apple or any other company. I have no interest in changing the world, as you suggest. You have nothing that I need or want. You are a computer salesman. I am fucking James Bond. I can think of no quicker way to destroy my career than to appear in one of your crass adverts. Please do not contact me again. Best, Sean Connery. That's incredible.
That's fucking baller, man.
That's just so amazing.
You can just imagine.
Outlived his ass, too.
He did. Got him.
Yeah, you can imagine what the request was too, because like Apple probably didn't want to pay for the rights to James Bond, but they wanted Sean Connery to come on and do some like James Bond shit with their
You are a computer salesman.
Like, dude, what is this? I'm not going to be generic James Bond. I am James Bond.
Yeah.
It just made me think of
him calling the computer salesman's the best part.
Who's going to pick up this mess? You're going to pick up this mess because you are a garbage man. That's what it made me think of. That's such a great find, Jeff. I'm glad that you shared that.
And he had James Bond stationery, and that's just unironically what he used, which I also think is great because he is James Bond.
It's incredible, and I know we talked about when Roger Moore passed away too. There's a great story about Roger Moore and a child in the Nice airport, and how he sort of like made him feel like he was working with James Bond against Blofeld and everything like that. It's just. If that was a very cool story, this is very different than that. Not nearly as heartwarming, but it elicited a similar reaction just in terms of how much it made my day to see that. But as we're closing out here, I mean, the Fantastic Four for James Bond. Davis, what are yours?
I'm going to do a quick shout out
for Sean Connery, not James Bond. He is the quintessential James Bond, but for Sean Connery.
I got to give a quick shout out just for his cameo in Time Bandits as Agamemnon. Every chance I get to reference Time Bandits, I'm going to take it, James. So you brought this on yourself. So
that's
never seen it.
No, that is not in my 4. I just want to make that point. That's a great role that he had. However, my 4, I have to put The Rock because that is a quintessential Connery movie in my life. The Untouchables, which I also mentioned, I think that's a fantastic movie and one of his best roles. The other one, my favorite Bond movie, I actually have to agree with you, James. My favorite was Goldfinger. That is the one that goes up on the mantle for me. And
it's got all the things that you love in it.
Yeah. And last but not least, Last Crusade, Indiana Jones. I think he just kind of put a cap on that series with Harrison Ford, and those are.
Say your 4 for me again, Davis, because ours are going to be eerily similar. I feel.
Yeah, Indy, Rock, Goldfinger, and what was my other one? Untouchables.
Okay. Yeah, I have one difference with yours, so I'll just say it now. So I do go Goldfinger. Because I do think that is the quintessential James Bond movie. It's got the villain, the henchman, the girls, the gadgets, the perfect Bond. It's the perfect James Bond movie. The song, the sort of just the iconic, she's covered in paint, gold paint. Everything about it is just like that. all the trappings of James Bond. So that one's on there. Indiana Jones Last Crusade as well. Talk about being able to hold your own at that age with Harrison Ford in terms of cool factor, and the fact that they both slept with the same girl, and it just great movie, great pairing with both of them. Teaming up as father and son was just amazing as a kid. Also going with The Rock, I think maybe the best action movie of the 90s. And I loved his pairing up with Nicolas Cage in that, and I love that movie. And then my fourth is Highlander. He plays a supporting role in that, but Ramirez and Highlander, I think maybe because I love James Bond so much, I gravitated very much so towards Ramirez's character played by Sean Connery. In some respects, even more so than McLeod. And I loved how he sort of got to play the Obi-Wan role in Highlander. So that's going on my 4. And, one of my favorite lines in that movie is how do we fight against this? Heart, faith, steel. It's just so good. So I love his role in the Highlander. And I love what people say is like he's a Scottish man playing an Egyptian pretending to be a Spaniard in the movie. It's just such a good sort of just how many delineations we're going through here. But finally, Jeff, what are your Fantastic Four for Sean Connery?
Mine is also the Highlander. I love Ramirez. I feel he's like the most iconic of the immortals in the Highlander, even though he's not the Highlander. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Goldfinger, because that's my favorite Sean Connery James Bond film of the 2 James Bond films I've seen of Sean Connery's. And
really? Only 2? What was the other one?
Dr. No.
Oh wow!
You only live twice.
Never seen it.
He wears yellow face.
Oh, I've seen that.
Does not age well.
It's not. That's
Sean
not what
did.
he was doing.
He's canceled. Get him off our show.
He was going into disguise.
And then the fourth one.
Damn idiot.
I
like
the Extraordinary Gentlemen.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen's going on your Fantastic Four.
I really like that movie, and I liked him as Alan Quartermain. Alan
like that movie
Quartermain.
too.
Have you guys ever read the books? Like, he's a very cool character, and I thought Sean Connery did a good job. He did a better job than how they did the character in the comic. I mean, the movie had to make Alan Quartermain more of the leader because they got Sean Connery to play the part, and I think I appreciated that more. It was just better how it was done. It played the mentor role again with the Tom Sawyer character. There's a lot of things about it I really liked. I saw the movie before I read the comics. I still love the movie even after reading the comics. It's maybe a guilty pleasure, but I don't know. I don't feel too guilty about it. I just think it's a cool film.
If you can reach one person, that's why Sean Connery retired. I was like, I couldn't reach him with James Bond. I finally got to him with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
He had me with Highlander. I love him as Ramirez.
But yeah, my honorable mention again, Darby O'Gill. If you haven't seen that, the Banshee. I wish I brought that up during the horror, talk too, because that Banshee as a kid, like a very young kid, terrified me. But I still wanted to watch it. Like, it made me feel alive. Anyway, rest in peace to Sir Sean Connery. You are a computer salesman. That is going to do it for this edition of the Best Damn Nerd Show. Have a great week, everyone. And remember, if you're a nerd, always say it loud and say it proud.
Hey, everyone. Chris Seglia, CEO of the 10 Media Network here. Thank you so much for listening to our content, but we need your help. Please rate us 5 stars, subscribe, and give us a shining review wherever you listen to this podcast. It really, really helps us out. And one more thing, please tell a friend if you can. Tell them Tasty Steve, Hanzo Gonzo, Mark Man, Rip, Ricky Replay, or someone who everyone loves sent you or something. That might help. Anyway, again, thank you for listening. And if you want more, make sure to check us out at www.ten-o.gg, www.10o.gg.